Aloha everybody, and welcome back to Kyle Astrology 1122, and I'm doing another installment in my sun signs for the Scorpio Rising series today. We've done 4 so far. We've done Virgo, Taurus, Aries, and Cancer, and today's is going to be the Gemini Sun with the Scorpio Rising. And just to emphasize again, this series is just really going on about the combinations of what the different sun signs are like with Scorpio rising specifically, because most people know what the general meanings for the different sun signs are, and this is just kind of blending the two together. So this is an interesting one because pretty much all the ones I've done so far, specifically like Virgo, Taurus, and Cancer, all blend pretty well with Scorpio, and Gemini does in some ways, but those are all signs that are more kind of laid back, introverted, or kind of to themselves anyway, to a certain degree. Gemini is an air sign, and it's like one of the ones I like to call airy fairy, and Scorpio is not airy fairy. Scorpio, in one sense, can be very serious, very intense, very consuming, very black and white, all or nothing, whereas Gemini is this mutable air sign that it's talking to everybody. It's super involved with the immediate environment. It's got all these thoughts coming in, and it likes to talk, and it likes to digest all kinds of different information, whether it uses any of that information or not. It just likes to take in everything that it can. And whereas Pisces is like an emotional sponge, Gemini is a mental and information sponge. And so this can actually work well with the Scorpio rising, in the sense that the Scorpio Ascendant is very, they want to know everything about everybody, and they're not going to tell everyone that they're trying to know everything about them, whereas the Gemini is usually going to kind of let you know that sometimes. So the two can really make for a very intense investigator, because this person is going to be able to use their charismatic Gemini Sun to kind of really get in with people, and will kind of be using the Scorpio rising in the background to kind of use all the information they gather on everyone in an emotionally intelligent way, whereas Gemini is usually doing it for intelligence, just for the sake of intelligence way, just to have that information. But the Scorpio rising is going to actually be cataloging all of it and like saving that shit in the archives, okay? Because Gemini typically has a very scattered nature, in that they are collecting all of this information about everyone, and it's not always going to be done in the most organized or logical way, like maybe Virgo, for example, but the Scorpio Ascendant is going to be able to kind of hone in on all of that stuff and use it to their advantage. So typically, you might have a Gemini Sun person who may have like an ascendant that's another air sign or a fire sign, and maybe even an earth sign to some degree, maybe even like a Pisces rising, that they still will be they're going to be a pretty outgoing person, and they're going to, again, have that airy fairy quality to them. The person that has a Gemini Sun with Scorpio Ascendant, that's going to be dampered down like a lot. Not to say that's going to be the end-all be-all for everybody. Everyone's different. Every chart is different. But this is typically going to be a person where the Gemini Sun traits are not going to shine through as noticeably as it would for the typical Gemini Sun sign, because the Scorpio rising is going to really dominate that chart quite a lot. It can, in some cases, be a little bit of both. They can still be the kind of person that can be really social and be really outgoing and still be really talkative, but they're still using that Scorpio Ascendant and kind of like really keeping an eye on everybody and being like, okay, I see you, and I definitely see you, kind of a deal, And so the Gemini Sun and the Scorpio Ascendant can go really good together in that way. Because there are some instances where a lot of Scorpio risings don't know how to assert themselves enough, because they don't have a sun sign that's quite as, social or, I don't know, as talkative maybe as Gemini Sun. So this can kind of actually help the Scorpio rising come out of their shell a little bit, which is a little more, not always the easiest thing for us to do, because we can be a little more defensive and very protective of our inner world, and especially in new social situations and meeting new people or in a new environment of any kind. And luckily, the Gemini Sun is all about meeting new people in new environments and the immediate surroundings that are around them. They're very tuned into it. And so to have the intuition of the Scorpio rising with that creates a blend that's actually very beneficial. Now, on the lower side, because I talked about earlier a lot about how they're taking in all this information, excuse me, there can be a tendency for this person to be very manipulative. The Gemini energy, whether it's the sun or wherever you find Gemini, has this tendency, and Scorpio in its lower octave can be this way too. They can be very prone to keeping secrets, and the Gemini is, represented by the twins, which in the lower side of it can be seen as being two-faced, whereas in the upper side of it, it's just going to be representing duality in general, which is not a bad thing. It's actually very good. And erased. I don't really believe in good / bad anyway, it's just all labels. But so on the lower side of things, this combination could be very manipulative and prone to keeping secrets and using secrets against people. That's where this could be a little bit toxic, but again, when it's representing in the good side, it's going to be collecting for the sake of the good and for its own self-preservation and protection, of course. Scorpio rising and Gemini to some degree is about that, protecting their identity. So yeah, that's really the sum up of this one. It's actually a really fun combination to me that I've been looking forward to making this one specifically, because I know a few people with this placement. I've done a few chart readings on this one, and it just kind of gives Scorpio rising a very different edge, which is always fun. So thank you guys for watching. I hope it was beneficial. Please check out my website at the link down below if you want to book a chart reading with me of any kind for a discounted price. And I'm going to be continuing this series and doing some more, so be checking back for more videos. So thank you everybody, much aloha and happy transiting.